Thousands of disabled children here in Arizona will be losing some services next week. Governor Katie Hobbs says there's just not enough money to pay for those services.
12 News journalist Craig Harris has details on this spending battle. Craig?
Hey, good evening, Mark and Troy. We broke the story last week. Governor Hobbs said that reductions are needed at the Division of Developmental Disabilities, or DDD. It's a move, she said, to save services long term. Parents, they say they were blindsided. During the past 2 years, we've told you Brandy Kuhn's story. She's a Queen Creek mom with a disabled son. She's also executive director of Raising Voices Coalition. She's rallied others in the disability community at the Capitol to prevent cuts to DDD earlier this year. So influential, she has the ear of Governor Hobbs. We talked with her again after 12 News found the governor was making new cuts to DDD.
We are preparing families for these policies to roll out, and that makes me so sad and heartbroken.
Kuhn said thousands of Arizonans would feel reductions for care around the home or for life skills for their kids. The cuts amount to $47 million in savings. That money is needed because of the projected growth for all DDD services. Coons thinks the money to keep the funding going should come from the Empowerment Scholarship Program. 12 News uncovered the Department of Education has automatically approved $124 million in reimbursements since last year. Records obtained by 12 News show some parents use those general fund tax dollars on diamond rings, Kenmore appliances, iPhones, resorts, and even lingerie.
Individuals are choosing to take advantage of vulnerabilities within the ESA program to exploit it and making a bad name for every other individual and family that's using it how they're supposed to.
Kuhn is using ESA money for her son's education. She's not against the program, but she's calling for lawmakers to clean it up.
If we're going to say we need guardrails and strengthened assessments and further rein in on DDD, we need to be able to have the same conversation about ESA.
Her viewpoint isn't popular.
I've been raked over the coals for this in the public sphere within the ESA community, but there has to be improvements and changes so that these programs are sustainable.
The governor agrees.
Time and time again, I have proposed reasonable guardrails, responsible income limits, things that would curtail the program so that we ensure that people that need it are getting it.
We spoke with Senate Majority Leader John Kavanaugh, a huge ESA supporter.
And I think the reductions and safeguards that we put in the program, which are generating this reduced revenue, are totally justified.
And he's not in favor of any ESA reforms.
People don't like this program because they don't like school choice, and they're going to pile on unreasonable requests for things that we don't do with other payment programs.
There's a virtual town hall tomorrow for DDD parents affected by the cuts. It begins at 10:30 a.m. and goes for 2 hours. 12 News will be covering, and we'll bring you an update tomorrow. I'm Craig Harris, 12 News.
Craig, the bucket that the DDD funding comes out of, is it the same bucket that the ESA program money comes from?
No, they're two entirely separate buckets, but they all go into one big bucket, which is the state general fund, and it's all fungible. So if you take money from one, you could give it to the other, but they are two separate accounts from the Department of Education and the Department of Economic Security.
And you've talked a lot about fraud in your many reports on the ESAs. The supporters of ESAs, aren't there some 90,000 families using them in Arizona? They argue that the fraud percentage is actually very, very low. Do you know, can you compare the fraud in the ESA program to maybe like Access or other government programs? Is the fraud higher or lower?
That's a really good question. Now, the supporters will say the fraud is less than 1%, but here's the issue. There's never been an audit, and Tom Horn, who's the superintendent of public instruction, he has put off the department to the Auditor General from getting in there to look at the books.
But he claims he used risk-based auditing, which many government agencies use, where they take a small section, audit that, and then look for anomalies. So anything under $2,000 is using risk-based auditing. That's their argument.
That's their argument, but the question is, well, what did you catch? And we've asked him that numerous times, and he doesn't say what they've caught, or going back to this last year when all those crazy purchases were done, how many folks were actually got their accounts shut down. He hasn't said that at all.
I just don't understand. I mean, basically, Mr. Kavanaugh is saying that there's a small amount of fraud and people object to it, but shouldn't any fraud be objectionable to those who make our laws in this state, whether it's access fraud or ESA fraud?
Well, that's what a lot of the Republicans in the legislature, they really came down on Governor Hobbs when there was what they said a lot of fraud in the DDD program with parents who were taking advantage of the system. And what Brandy Kuhn says is like, well, maybe there was some fraud in the DDD, but let's go after the same kind of fraud in the ESAs. What's good for the goose is good for the gander. But I think what Senator Kavanaugh is saying is that eventually they'll go back and they'll get it. But so far, there's been no proof that they've gone back to get it. So there's been a lot of talk, but really no proof that they've gone back and they've gotten after that money.
All right, Greg, thanks for reporting on this.
Thanks a lot.